Billionaire finds his maid, bleeding
He is still in the building.
What she whispered
Please, you
next
have to
haunts
run.
him forever. Ethan Caldwell had always believed wealth could shield him from fear. Yet as he stood alone in his penthouse, staring out over the glittering Chicago skyline, a gnawing unease wrapped around his chest like a vice. The apartment, pristine and perfect, should have felt safe, but tonight, every shadow seemed heavier, every silence louder. Naomi Harris appeared at the edge of the room, her usually steady hands trembling so violently that Ethan's pulse quickened at the sight. She avoided his gaze, and for a moment he felt a strange, unwelcome panic. Was she hiding something from him? Then she spoke, her voice barely audible. "Ethan, it's back, and it's coming for all of us." The words landed like a hammer to his chest. Ethan stepped closer, heart hammering. "Naomi, what are you saying?" His voice was calm on the outside, but inside, fear clawed at him. She shook her head, swallowing hard, eyes darting to the far corner of the room where shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls. I can't say it fully. You won't believe me until you see it." Ethan felt an icy chill run down his spine. For the first time, the fortress of wealth and power he had built seemed fragile, almost meaningless. His mind raced. Was it a threat, a warning, or something far older, far darker than he could imagine? The air around them felt charged, electric, like the calm before a storm. And deep in his chest, a terrifying thought began to form. Whatever Naomi feared, it had already arrived. Ethan couldn't tear his eyes away from Naomi. Her face, pale and tense, told him she had seen something that defied reason. He stepped closer, trying to catch her gaze. "Naomi, I need to know. What's happening?" She hesitated, biting her lip. Then she finally spoke, voice trembling. "It's the message, sir. From the past. It's alive, Ethan. It's coming back." Ethan's stomach tightened. A message? Alive? His mind raced through every boardroom threat, every corporate enemy, every problem he had faced, but none of it fit the terror in Naomi's eyes. Something more personal, more sinister, lingered in the air. A sound from the hallway, soft, deliberate, made them both freeze. Ethan's heart thumped loudly against his ribs. He signaled Naomi to stay quiet, listening. The faintest shuffle, a whisper of movement, echoed through the apartment. Whoever, whatever, was there, they were close. Naomi's hands shook as she clutched a folded envelope she had hidden in her apron pocket. I found this last night," she whispered. "I thought I could ignore it, but now, I don't know if we have a choice." Ethan took the envelope, his fingers brushing hers. Inside was a single, folded piece of paper, worn at the edges, with a symbol he didn't recognize, a crimson mark in the shape of an ancient seal. The room felt suddenly smaller, darker. Shadows seemed to lengthen, stretching toward them as if alive. Ethan felt a cold prickle along his spine. The penthouse, once a fortress of comfort and power, had transformed into a trap. Naomi swallowed hard, whispering the words that would haunt him next. "Whatever this is, it's not just happening to me. It's happening to you too." Ethan stared at the envelope in his hands, the crimson symbol seeming to pulse faintly under the penthouse lights. He turned it over, searching for any hint of explanation, but the inside was blank, except for a faint, almost imperceptible smudge that felt like it had been pressed into the paper with intent. "Naomi, what is this?" he asked, his voice taut with tension. She shook her head, stepping closer, but keeping a cautious distance. I don't know. I only found it hidden behind the panel in the study. I thought maybe it was just some old note, but then her voice faltered. Then I started noticing things, strange things. Objects moved on their own. Shadows, they don't stay where they should. And I felt it watching me. Ethan's mind raced. The calm, controlled world he had built felt like sand slipping through his fingers. He remembered the quiet moments over the past few nights, the faint tapping in empty rooms, the feeling of being observed, and the strange dreams he had tried to dismiss. A sudden chill swept through the apartment, raising goosebumps across his skin. The lights flickered, and for a heartbeat, the penthouse felt like a trap. Walls closing in, shadows pooling in the corners. Naomi's voice broke the silence. I tried to ignore it, Ethan. I didn't want to scare you. But whatever this is, it isn't just in this apartment. It's connected to your family, your life. You've been warned before in ways you didn't see. Ethan felt the weight of her words sink deep. The city outside seemed distant, irrelevant. He had always believed he controlled everything in his world. But now, something older, darker, and far more powerful was surfacing. And he realized, with a sudden, icy clarity, that ignoring it wasn't an option. Something in the shadows was moving toward them, patient and relentless. And very soon, they would have no choice but to face it. Ethan's hands shook as he followed Naomi toward the far side of the penthouse, the envelope clutched tightly in his palm. The shadows seemed to stretch longer, darker, as if alive, slithering along the sleek walls. Every instinct screamed that they were not alone. Naomi hesitated outside the bedroom. I can't, she whispered. Ethan stepped forward, gently taking her hand. We face this together. Now. The door creaked as he pushed it open, and then he froze. Naomi lay on the floor, a crimson pool slowly spreading beneath her. But it wasn't just any injury. It was as if the life had been siphoned from her, leaving only terror in its wake. Her eyes, wide with fear, locked on his. The whisper that followed made Ethan's blood run cold. It's here, it's in the walls, it's watching. Naomi gasped, voice barely audible. Her hand trembled, reaching toward him. Ethan, the blood, it's never just theirs. Ethan knelt beside her, the metallic scent sharp in the air. His mind reeled. The penthouse, once a sanctuary of control and power, felt like a cage, the walls closing in with unseen pressure. He couldn't move, couldn't think, as shadows pulled around them, twisting unnaturally toward the ceiling. Every memory of his meticulously ordered life, the deals, the empire, the wealth, felt meaningless in that instant. Whatever Naomi had been warning him about, whatever had returned, was older, darker, and far more terrifying than anything he had ever imagined. Naomi's whisper lingered in his ears, haunting him, echoing across the room. It's not just me, it's all of us, and it's here to claim what was promised long ago. Ethan's chest tightened. He realized, with gut-wrenching clarity, that this night would mark the beginning of a reckoning he could not escape. Ethan helped Naomi to a nearby chaise lounge, her trembling hands gripping his arm. The penthouse, once a symbol of control and perfection, now felt like a place full of shadows and whispered threats. He realized, for the first time, that the life he had built on ambition and precision had blind spots, dark corners he had ignored. The phone buzzed on the sleek glass table. Ethan's assistant, Claire Lawson, called, her tone unusually tight. Ethan, you need to see this. Something's happening at the estate. The estate. His family's old mansion in the outskirts of Chicago, long abandoned and filled with stories no one dared speak aloud. Tales of tragedy, betrayal, and rumors of an ancestral secret that had been buried for generations. Ethan's pulse quickened. Could it be connected? Naomi's eyes widened. Ethan, you shouldn't go alone. The past, it follows, and it doesn't forgive. He nodded, adrenaline surging. Claire's words came again over the phone, insistent. There's been a break-in, and it's not what you think. You need to get there now. Ethan felt the walls of the penthouse press inward. Everything was moving too fast, the city outside irrelevant. Shadows flickered in the corners, as if the apartment itself were alive, echoing Naomi's warning. He glanced at her, the fear in her eyes mirrored in his own reflection in the polished marble. We face this together, he whispered. Naomi nodded, gripping the envelope, the mysterious symbol still faintly visible. As they prepared to leave, a chill swept through the apartment, unnatural and unrelenting. Ethan's mind raced with questions, but one thought rang louder than all the rest. Whatever was haunting Naomi, whatever had returned to the penthouse, it was only the beginning. And the estate, the family legacy he had long ignored, was about to reveal secrets that would shatter everything. The drive to the Caldwell estate was silent, the city lights fading behind them as Ethan and Naomi wound along the deserted suburban roads. Even in daylight, the mansion had seemed imposing, but at night it exuded a palpable sense of menace. Windows were dark, and the overgrown hedges whispered in the wind, as if warning them to turn back. Ethan parked the car near the crumbling front gates. He stepped out first, the chill in the air biting through his expensive coat. Naomi followed, clutching the envelope to her chest as though it contained their only lifeline. The mansion loomed above them, its Gothic architecture casting monstrous shadows across the cracked driveway. Ethan's mind raced. Memories of childhood summers here flashed briefly. Echoes of laughter, faint warmth, now replaced by a suffocating dread. "Do you really think it's here?" Naomi whispered, voice trembling. Ethan swallowed hard. "I don't know, but if it's connected to the penthouse, we have no choice." As they stepped onto the creaking wooden porch, the front door slowly swung open by itself, revealing a hallway cloaked in darkness. The faint smell of something metallic lingered in the air, like blood mixed with old decay. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. From deep within the shadows came a whisper, barely audible. "You shouldn't have returned." Naomi froze, her eyes wide. Ethan instinctively moved in front of her, heart racing, every nerve alert. The mansion seemed alive, walls groaning, floorboards creaking, shadows twisting unnaturally. Every instinct screamed for them to leave, but the envelope, the whisper, and the fear in Naomi's eyes demanded they press forward. Ethan's chest tightened. The estate was no longer a relic of family history. It was a living threat, and tonight it would reveal its secrets, whether they were ready or not. Ethan and Naomi stepped cautiously into the mansion, the door creaking ominously behind them. Dust coated the grand staircase and the once-polished wooden floors, the air thick with the scent of decay. Shadows clung to every corner, twisting unnaturally as if watching their every move. Naomi clutched the envelope tightly. I think it wants us to find something," she whispered. Her eyes darted nervously toward the long hallway, where the faintest flicker of movement caught her attention. Ethan nodded, forcing himself to remain calm. "Let's just follow it carefully." They entered the library, a room lined with tall shelves filled with old, leather-bound books. In the center, a portrait of Ethan's ancestors hung crooked on the wall. The eyes in the painting seemed to follow him, dark and accusing. A chill ran down his spine. Naomi pointed to a small drawer in the ornate desk. "I saw this open in my dreams," she whispered. Ethan frowned, but as he pulled it open, a folded journal fell into his hands. The leather cover was cracked with age, and inside, the pages were filled with cryptic notes, diagrams of symbols, and references to bloodlines, rituals, and debts unpaid. A sudden sound, a whispering voice that seemed to echo from the walls, made both of them jump. The promise must be kept, or all will suffer. Ethan's eyes widened. The journal wasn't just old family records. It was a warning, a map, and a confession all at once. And now, whatever had returned from the past was making its presence known, its intentions unmistakable. Naomi swallowed hard. "It's here, Ethan. The thing I warned you about, it's tied to your family, to your life, and it won't stop until it claims what it's owed." Ethan's chest tightened as he realized the weight of the curse. The secret his family had buried for generations was now very real, and tonight it was waking. Ethan flipped through the journal, his hands trembling. Each page revealed a darker piece of the family's past, rituals, bloodlines, and warnings ignored for generations. A knot of dread coiled in his stomach. He had always thought of his family's history as distant and irrelevant, but now it felt alive, threatening, and inescapable. Naomi's gaze flicked toward the shadows, her voice tight. "It's moving, Ethan. It knows we're here." A sudden gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the candles, plunging the library into near darkness. The temperature dropped, and the shadows deepened, crawling along the walls as if with intent. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears. Then it came, a low, guttural sound echoing from the corners of the mansion. Floorboards creaked above them, though the second floor had been abandoned for decades. Naomi clutched his arm. "Ethan, it's close. We can't stay here." Before he could respond, a chair slid across the floor on its own, stopping at Naomi's feet. A whisper, barely audible but unmistakable, cut through the darkness. "Your blood, your life, your legacy." Ethan felt a surge of adrenaline. He grabbed Naomi's hand and pulled her toward the hallway, but the mansion seemed to resist their movement. Doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them in a maze of shadows. Every corner seemed alive, every sound magnified. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "It's not just haunting the estate. It's after everything we've built." "Everything you've built, Ethan." Ethan's jaw tightened. Fear and determination warred inside him. He realized that escaping would require more than courage. It would require confronting the darkness that had haunted his family for generations and facing truths he had long buried. Ethan and Naomi stumbled into the grand hall, the shadows of the mansion twisting around them like living things. The journal pressed tightly, and Ethan's hands seemed to burn, as though urging him to understand what it contained. Then they saw it, a large, ornate mirror, cracked and dust-covered, reflecting not their images, but a distorted vision of the past. Figures in dark cloaks moved within it, their faces obscured, chanting in a language Ethan didn't recognize. Naomi gasped. That's my dream. It's real." Ethan stepped closer, heart hammering. The mirror's reflection revealed the truth his family had buried for generations. The bloodline was cursed. Each generation had taken part in a ritual to secure wealth and power, but the cost was hidden. Every fortune came at the expense of lives marked by the same mysterious crimson symbol. Naomi's voice trembled. "It's not just the estate. It's every place your family has touched. Every life, every secret. The whispers, the shadows, they're all tied to you." Ethan's stomach dropped. The envelope, the whisper in the penthouse, the strange events, all were connected to this legacy. The mansion wasn't haunted by random spirits. It was a living reminder of debts unpaid, a warning that the past could not be ignored. A sudden movement behind them made them spin. Shadows surged from the walls, coalescing into a dark figure. The air grew thick, suffocating, as if the house itself was alive. Naomi grabbed Ethan's arm, tears streaming. "Ethan, we have to make it right, or it won't stop. Not now. Not ever." Ethan clenched the journal. The weight of generations pressed on him. The life he had built, the empire, the wealth, it all meant nothing if he could not confront this darkness. And now, there was no turning back. The shadows surged around Ethan and Naomi, thickening the air, pressing in from every corner. The dark figure from the mirror advanced, its form flickering between human and something far older, far more terrifying. Ethan's hand tightened on the journal, the leather binding worn but strangely warm, as if it held the answers themselves. Naomi whispered, her voice trembling yet urgent. "The ritual, Ethan, it has to be completed correctly, otherwise it consumes everything." Ethan's mind raced. Every lesson, every warning, every subtle sign he had ignored all pointed to this moment. The envelope, the whispers, the shadows, they weren't random. They were a map, a warning, and a test. He followed Naomi to the center of the room, where the floorboards formed a faint symbol matching the one on the envelope. Candles flickered to life inexplicably, illuminating the pattern. The figure loomed closer, and Ethan felt the weight of generations pressing down, demanding a choice he had never imagined. Taking a deep breath, Ethan spoke the words recorded in the journal. The shadows hesitated, the figure's form wavering. Naomi assisted, guiding him through the ritual's final steps. With a final, echoing whisper, the dark figure recoiled, dissolving into mist that slithered back into the corners, leaving silence in its wake. Breathing heavily, Ethan looked at Naomi. She was pale but alive. "It's over for now," she said, though a tremor in her voice betrayed lingering fear. Ethan's gaze drifted to the penthouse skyline through the mansion's tall windows. The city seemed calm, indifferent. Wealth, power, and control suddenly felt fragile, meaningless in the face of forces older than him, older than his family. And though the immediate danger had passed, the words Naomi whispered in the penthouse echoed in his mind. It's never just theirs, and it will always return. Ethan knew one truth above all. Some legacies can never be escaped. Some haunts last forever.